You make a handle. So this is for your slab mug, fold handle, or any fold handle in general. I'm starting with way too much clay here. But first thing, make your life a little bit easier. I get students that'll start from this, and this is way too much. You can make your life a little easier by getting it almost in the shape that you want, which is kind of a carrot shape. Sometimes I even roll them on the table, but I'll roll my coil like so. I'm going to leave it intentionally a little bit sloppy just so you can see how much the pulled handle will clean things up. But I could roll this as a nice clean carrot shape. First things first, I need to give myself a grip. So I like to squeeze here and pat on the top so it gives me something to hold on to. Okay? So my left hand, I'm going to try to keep that hand somewhat dry. My right hand is going to be soaking wet. So I'm going to get it wet first, and you'll see how much it cleans this up. So again, I don't want to wet the left hand because then I'll lose my grip, but I grip slightly and I just slowly go down. I don't grip too tight. If I grip too tight, it'll rip. So I'll start, like if I squeeze too tight down here, eventually I'll rip off a piece. And if I rip off a piece, that's okay. I can keep going. Set that piece aside. I would put that in the recycle. So now it's just enough to smooth things out as I go down. Okay? Also notice that I don't just stay on one side because it'll start to curve on me and parts will rip off. But I turn with this left hand. Okay? I turn. And it's a grip like this. You'll notice I'm getting a thin spot right there. It'll probably rip that off. And I'm going to pinch that because it's a flaw. So again, I would thin this out a little bit more. So notice I'm turning it. Every time I do this, it kind of curves at the bottom. And these pulled handles, they're pretty soaking wet by the time you finish. So I shape them and then I dry them out a little bit. See, I'm getting a little notch right there again. That's okay, set it aside. Just getting rid of a little bit of the slip. So now I'm going to go a little higher just to get a little bit more handle out of it. And I'm doing this all over the sink. And notice my little grip here, I'm losing a little bit of that, so I'll shape it up again. And I'm turning. Also the follow through on my stride here is all the way down. If I just do this and I'm like kind of letting go at the end, you'll get a knob at the end, which is kind of what I was getting earlier, mostly from my shape. Okay, so now I'm thin enough. I'm thin enough for my handle. So now I'm ready to shape a little bit. So I don't want it to be a round handle. Right now it's just circular, cylindrical. These swing in your hands, they sway. They look nice, but they just don't function very well in my opinion. So you can do it one of two ways. One, I like, that I learned from one of my student teachers, is she would take her thumb this way and she would flatten like this. Okay? Then you switch to the other side, flatten, a little water, flatten a little bit. The other way is to take two fingers and squeeze all the way. I go all the way to the webbing. I come down, and I switch all the way to the webbing, and I'm switching to the opposite side. So either way that you prefer to get it somewhat flat. You're getting it more of like a belt shape. So I'll do that. See, again, I didn't follow all the way through, so I'm getting a little knob at the bottom, or a little nub. So I'm going to break that off, clean that up, and continue flattening. So again, in between here and my thumb, and flatten. A little bit more. right there is good. Now I'm just going to do some manicuring or cleanup. Finish the bottom off. So now I would normally measure my mug as tall as it is. I'll use this cup for a hypothetical. So I'd normally measure it as tall as my piece is. So about right there, I'm going to make a little mark. And I'm going to cut that at about a 45. Sometimes I can let this dry a little bit too, but I'm going to cut that at a 45-degree angle. Get rid of my excess. This is all going to the recycle. I don't want to leave this at the sink. Okay. Then I'm going to flip this up on that 45 degree into a little half heart shape. And I don't want too much of my handle making contact with my mug. I want to utilize as much as I can and still be strong. So this is a little too wet, but I would want this to come up here. So sometimes I'll even lay it on its side. Like right now it's real floppy, but I want a half a heart shape, not half a 7, not a slanting straight out. So I'll set it down and I'll get it in the shape that I want. Okay. Sometimes I'll even put a stick or something along the side so that I know how it's going to sit on the side of my mug. Okay, so right there it's got a nice straight line. You can see it can dry out. I'll clean this up a little bit, but it can dry out in this shape. I only want to give it maybe 20-30 minutes just so that it stiffens up a little bit. I can score and slip here and here and stick it on the side of my mug, like so. Okay, and the part I was talking about earlier, I don't want too much to make contact with my mug. I don't want to attach all of this and just give myself very little space for my hand. I want to make sure I just attach what I need to on the bottom and then get my little half heart. So see how it attached too. If I were to attach this, this part would swing upwards so that my arch is a little closer to my mug. I don't want this arch being way out here. Okay, I don't want it way out here. I don't want the 7, which is notorious. Okay, 7. You want this to attach kind of low, and then this to the bottom, like so. Okay, that is the pulled handle, one of many approaches to a handle. So I'd let that dry before adhering.